Wow. Today, I'm gonna teach y'all how I went from needing 10 to 20 clients to pay rent to making 5-figure months with 3 to 5 clients, and how you can actually do the same. So, for those of you who may not know my story, let me give you a breakdown of the business that I used to be running and then share what I'm currently doing now. So, in January of 2023, I started my lead generation company, Delta Lead, mainly focused on LinkedIn, where I would build out messaging lists for people, or build out messaging for them, build out avatar and profile lists of people for them to reach out to, a targeted list. And then I would create marketing campaigns for them to reach them effectively and consistently to help them book more meetings, right? I was charging a $1,500 setup fee. That was for the first entire month. And then I would move down to $500 a month to keep systems running, to meet once a month, to be there for support, right? And so when I first opted into this, I would get a couple clients, my first couple months of selling, which was awesome. In February, I closed my first 2 clients, and then March, I closed my 3rd client. So I was making, $1,500 recurring revenue, and I was like, okay, we're starting to get somewhere, right? One of the things that I quickly started to notice, however, is that one of my clients was doing way better than the others. And what they had was a more established sales process. They had more sales experience. They knew who they were targeting, who they were going after. They had a solid offering, which is hint, what we're going to be talking about today, that spoke to their audience, and they were able to show up and effectively sell it, get them on calls, have sales conversations, and close. While my other clients really struggled to have a sales conversation, let alone a conversation, right? So that's one of the first things that I started to notice as I was delivering my service, and I always felt like I could be doing a little bit more, but it went out of the scope of what we had planned, so I didn't really do much more, right? So over time, for the next about 6 months or so, I continued to sell the offer. I eventually upped my pricing to $1,000 a month after the initial setup, and was able to get some clients that way, getting decent results. But again, I really felt like I was in a stage to where I wanted recurring revenue, but not recurring work. I was trying to stack clients as much as possible, because in all reality, at $1,000 a month, I needed, even at $500 a month when I was doing all that, I needed, 10 clients to barely pay rent and cover living standards. And so I was constantly scrambling to get new clients, coming from a place of scarcity, trying to reach out, close them through my process. Had lots of tire kickers, had people who didn't really see as much value, because as well I was selling to pretty much anyone and everybody, right? And so during this time, I really started to notice I wanted to do more. I saw some of my clients were doing well and others were struggling, and I didn't really feel like I was adding the value that I wanted to. And most importantly, I wasn't making the kind of money that it took for me to survive as an entrepreneur, right? And of course, everybody getting started out, it's maybe going to be a bit lower to scale, or slower to scale and actually bring in more revenue. But I didn't even see a path of how I could handle managing 10 to 20 clients at a time with my processes. So I really knew that something needed to change, right? I was living in scarcity, living in desperation, showing up on sales calls being desperate. I couldn't have it. And I also, at the same time, wanted to more effectively put revenue in my clients' pockets, take more responsibility, and work closer with a certain type of client one-on-one, right? So one of the first things that I actually did, which huge benefit, was niching down. So choosing an avatar, which is basically an ideal client, someone I'm wanting to serve, getting specific on serving coaches and consultants. But the more important thing that I did was create a service offering that was actually valuable. It was value packed, right? So what I recognized early on is that some of my clients would succeed who had an avatar, who had a good offering. So I was like, okay, what if I help my clients develop their avatar, their ideal customer, help them get really specific on their past experience, who they're trying to serve, what they're passionate about serving, who's accessible, how can they create their own good offers as well, going into the second piece, helping them create a high ticket offering. And one of the things I'll teach you here in a moment is how you can actually go about that process and actually get a handful of clients to help you pay for everything that you need and provide big, amazing value to a specific type of client, right? And then going with lead generation and then actually helping them close, giving custom sales scripts, doing call reviews, and making sure they have the ability to actually close clients consistently. So if you notice that the way that my offering is structured, I started to solve more problems. I was solving 4+ problems because I was also handling stuff with getting agreements set up, helping them set up a payment processor, more miscellaneous stuff that people still need help with. And I wasn't just doing lead generation anymore. And that is the huge disconnect between a commoditized service, which I was doing lead generation, which everybody else is doing, even on LinkedIn. I was a race to the bottom in terms of price. I had to charge $500, eventually began to raise my prices, but even then got more no's because they had other competitors they could go to that they perceived as higher value, even though they were being cheaper. So I had a commoditized service, right? But what I did when I created this high ticket offering was I started to solve multiple problems. I set out to solve multiple problems in the scope instead of just one commoditized problem. And what this allowed me to create was an uncommoditized, unique, value-packed, high-ticket transformational offer, right? And that made me stand out in the market as someone who's offering a service that nobody else really was, right? So I didn't have a lot of competition with this new offering, and therefore I put a price tag of $10,000 on this engagement to walk through my clients one-on-one over a 3-month engagement, and I closed my first client within 5 days of creating and launching this new offer. And so now I'm at a stage to where I just need to work with 3 to 5 clients on a recurring basis, and I can now spend time working on the business, creating a group program, which I'm very excited about, that I'm gonna share more details in the 5-Figure Foundations coming up on April 23rd. I'll leave a link in the description for you to check it out in the comments. But with that being said, I now have so much more time to actually not be in scarcity, not be in desperation, focus on continuing to develop and build out a really fantastic product and a great system, and get things systemized and start hiring people to help me with automation, because I now have more capital to actually hire people and come and help me scale my processes. So with that being said, I'm now at a point where I need 3 to 5 clients to have an excess of capital to continue growing my business versus where I needed 10 to 20 to pay rent at $500 a month. So that being said, I want you to help create your own high ticket offering. And one of the first ways that you can do that is, first of all, getting specific on who you want to serve, right? Developing your avatar. I've talked about that in previous videos, and I will talk about that in future videos. But basically, you need to just break down on a specific type of person that you want to serve, ideally being at the higher end of a market who is wanting more one-on-one support. They're wanting more done-for-you work. They're wanting more help, right? Because another big thing that I did was actually stood it forward and helped them build out their avatar, helped them build their offering, and was over-delivering, right? Because it justified the price point, and I was able to work very closely and make sure I actually got good results for my clients. So that being said, the next piece is actually creating your high ticket offering. You want to solve multiple urgent problems for your audience that stack upon each other. So notice that you can't really have an offering if you don't have a who. So I'd help with the avatar, then the offering, and then I help people actually sell their offering via client acquisition and sending messages on LinkedIn, and then help them close once they actually had meetings brought in. So with every single solution to a problem, a new problem arises. If we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, humans first need, air, they need water, they need food, they need shelter, and then it starts to get into, having a job, having relationships, and then more philosophical self-actualization sort of things, right? But no one can care about buying a house or getting a wife if they can't breathe, right? Like, no one can care about doing any of that if they don't have water to help them survive. So when you actually help somebody solve those urgent problems that are like air to them, in some cases maybe they're making inconsistent revenue and they're in scarcity, you can help them immediately bring in some consistent revenue and then help them beyond that. Because now you're selling a transformational offering to where you're taking them from where they are to where they want to be, versus giving them a simple commoditized solution they can almost do on their own and definitely go to anybody else, to whoever has the lowest price. So that being said, I want to emphasize the fact that, especially for service providers like myself, consultants, coaches, even course creators, even community owners, you have to create a transformation for your clients that solves multiple problems versus just one simple problem, right? And so with that being said, that's how you go from inconsistent, needing 10 to 20 clients, you're churning clients, you're barely making enough to pay rent, to only working with 3 to 5 clients to close, consistent high 5-figure months, well, at least minimum $10,000 and beyond. That being said, I hope you all found this video helpful. I look forward to seeing you all in the next video, and apologies for the recent delay in making ice bath videos this frequently. I've been putting a ton of time and energy into building out this course, and in some cases, I also face resistance, right? There's times where it's very easy to get a lot done, but there's times where I really have to focus in and get this done. So I'm really excited to share this with you all. The more resistance that I face, in my opinion, the better the product's going to be. And this is probably some of the most resistance that I've faced in my life and business. So that being said, really excited to share more details soon. Hope you all enjoyed this video, and I will talk to you all soon.